Angela Yvonne Davis was born in Birmingham, Alabama on January 26, 1944. She grew up in a middle-class family and neighborhood. Davis credits her involvement in political influence to her involvement with the Girl Scouts of the United States of America. Davis's mother, Sally Bell Davis, was a major influence in Davis's life. Her mother was a leading organizer of the Southern Negro Youth Congress, an organization influenced by the Communist Party aimed at building alliances among African Americans in the South.
Walked down a path that was carved out for me by my mother. Because I always saw myself resisting my parents, as children often do.
Sure.
But my mother was an activist. She was a member of the Southern Negro Youth Congress. She was actually an officer of the Southern Negro Youth Congress. She was involved in the NAACP. She was involved in the campaign to free the Scottsboro Nine.
Throughout her childhood, Davis and her three siblings, two brothers and a sister, grew up around communist thinkers and organizers, which had significant influence on her intellect.
My brother received a letter from Richard Nixon. He was playing with the Cleveland Browns at that time. Nixon must have assumed that because he was a football player, he couldn't possibly identify with a sister whom Richard Nixon described as a terrorist.
While she was a teenager, she was recruited by a communist youth group. While in college, Davis was an academic scholar, activist, and a revolutionary. She attended Brandeis University in Massachusetts, University of Frankfurt in Germany, and returned back to the United States and received her master's degree at the University of California, and later earned her doctorate from Humboldt University in East Berlin. She was a member of the Communist and Black Panther Party. Davis eventually found herself in trouble with the law. Davis owned firearms that was used in a 1970 courtroom murder. A warrant was issued for her arrest.
There is a conspiracy in the land. It's a conspiracy to wipe out the Black community as a whole.
She became a fugitive and left California. Davis was later captured by the FBI. She went to trial and was later acquitted.
This entire incident was a deliberate provocation.
They wanted to break me. They wanted me to respond.
There was enormous feeling for Angela everywhere in the world.
We know that she is innocent.
We want to tell that Pharaoh in Washington to let Angela Davis go free.
What they're doing to her is an exaggerated form of what happens every day to black people in this country.
What does it mean to be a criminal in this society?
Davis is now a retired professor at the University of California in Santa Cruz. Currently, Davis can be seen giving lectures around the world and is an author of 12 books. Her interests include African American studies, feminism, social awareness, and critical theory.
The black woman is the mule of the world. Should I say that again? The black woman is the mule of the world. And so let me pose this question. What if the mules of the world became the very height of humanity? This is precisely the philosophical question that has been posed by the Black Lives Matter movement.
Women, Race, and Class was published on February 12, 1983, written by Angela Davis. It highlights the triple oppression black women endure by class, race, and sex. Davis opens up the first chapter with a detailed account of slavery in the 1600s. You are quickly reminded that all black women were house and field slaves and were always working. Enslaved African women and their descendants worked side by side with enslaved African men, from sunup to sundown. Children born to enslaved women inherited their mother's status. This became generational. At times, enslaved women would kill their own children so that they would never have to endure pain and suffering like them. Black women suffered at the hands of their oppressors. Masters, owners viewed enslaved women as genderless when it came to field labor. The idea was to strengthen and increase productivity. Enslaved women and men were oppressed equally only when dealing with hard labor. The only times they were treated differently were times when they were exploited, punished, which was only suited for women. They were victims of rape and mistreatment.
Cousin Charles, what the hell you doing kissing on the mouth? What are you doing that for?
It makes a man feel good. She likes it too. Don't you, pretty wench?
Yes, master.
When international slave trade was abolished, it threatened the expansion of the cotton industry. Reproduction was literally the only way to increase slave bodies to help the cotton economy. The notion that slave women were mothers was unheard of. They were considered breeders, which made their fertility a premium commodity. Slave women had no control of their lives. Every bit of their body, physical and sexual, belonged to others. Although their fertility was considered premium, pregnant slave women received no treatment. They were expected to work hard labor in the fields. During slavery, enslaved women were forced to be masculine and perform work identical to enslaved men. They were broken, destroyed, humiliated, raped, and killed. In the wake of turmoil, majority of slave women survived. The ones who survived passed on a legacy of hard work, self-reliance, tenacity, resistance, and determination, which led into the new womanhood. During the anti-slavery movement, white women became allies to black women. Many of them aided in the underground movement as well. White women were abolitionists who felt that slavery went against their moral and religious compass. Two sisters born and raised in South Carolina were Angelina and Sarah Grimke. Davis was intrigued by these white women because they fought for black liberation and women liberation simultaneously. At no point did they put one struggle over the other. Each struggle was treated equally. Grimke's sisters were abolitionists and feminists, and they were admired by many black people. Not many white women embodied the spirit of the Grimke sisters. Women's suffrage movement emerged from the women's rights movement. Susan B. Anthony and Elizabeth Cady Stanton came from two competing organizations. The two organizations were named National Women's Suffrage Association and American Women's Suffrage Association, which later merged and formed the National American Women's Suffrage Association. Angela Davis captured a side of the suffrage movement that many people will probably never be aware of: the conflict between women's rights and African American rights. Black women became marginalized as the suffrage movement grew in size and popularity. They dealt with the aspect of not being able to vote because of their sex, but also suffered racism at the hands of white suffragists. Black women didn't think of themselves when they thought and fought for equality. They thought about their men and children. Their agenda was different from their white counterparts. White women were seeking the right to vote, but also becoming independent from the patriarchal rule of their husband. Davis let it be known in the book that during Reconstruction, members of the white suffrage movement argued with white men that giving them the right to vote would surely increase the proportion of whites voting and limiting any political power blacks may have.
I think think we always have to look to black women. Black women always vote in their best interests. 94% of black women voted for Hillary Clinton. Well, 53% of white women voted for that guy. We have to look, black women vote in their best interests always, historically. They always know what's up. And we have to be sisters to them. We have to vote in their best interest as well.
Also, during Reconstruction, black women kept fighting for the rights of black people. Even though white allies abandoned them, they still formed their own unions, organizations, and clubs. In the last chapters of Women, Race, and Class, Davis discusses capitalism, reproductive rights, domestic work, and abortion. Davis was against capitalism and offered some suggestions in her book on how it could work for the marginalized people, particularly black women, in domestic work. Davis goes on to imply that housework for black women wasn't empowering, that in fact, it was boring. Black women have worked inside and outside of their homes to support their families and support their communities. According to Davis, white women haven't worked nearly as much and as hard as black women, but white women are considered damsels in distress and weak, when all the while, black women have provided housework and childcare for white women. Davis sheds light on the reproductive rights and how black women have always been in constant warfare about their bodies with the government, white and black communities, and even with the reproductive rights movement. Black women were bothered by this and isolated themselves from the mainstream reproductive rights movement. Black women's history regarding how their reproduction was devalued and measured is a very painful and emotional discussion. Within the reproductive rights movement, abortion isn't included, and it is seen as a separate issue. Black women were bothered by this and isolated themselves from the mainstream reproductive rights movement. Black women's issues were never at the forefront like their white counterparts. Black women have suffered through violence, exclusion, oppression, rape, and social injustice, and still they prevail through it all, and they continue to seek solutions to create a better environment for the next generation.
Today, we honor all black women who have come before us. We honor black women today and tomorrow. We honor young black girls who are watching us pave the way, because one day a new generation of black girls will honor them. Every African descendant that has walked this earth, we cherish you and your legacy. My name is Mayan. I am Gail's daughter, Kibi's younger sister, and Chaney's aunt. I call out the names of black women: Ruby Bryant, Lillian Drew, Cynthia Buck, and Michelle Obama.
My name is Cameron Elizabeth Cox. I am Christiana's daughter, Lori and Kelly's granddaughter, and Courtney's niece. I call out the names of the black women who've come before me: Luella Bates, Rosa Bell Ralph, Mary Elizabeth Brown, Emma Lou Mickle, Michelle Bankston, Jessie Mae Dixon, Charlie Maud Greer, Shantae Ralph, Percy Dunaway, Laura Pace, Mary Clark, Brenda Davis, Melva Robertson, Allison Raggins, Caroline Ware, Ruby Bailey, Tierney Nash, Wanda Dunaway, Avis Adams, Barbara Mickle, Sally Ruth Tolbert, Patricia Ralph, Polly Clancy, Wyvonna Hilson, Annie Brown, Tynesha Pierce, Ashley White, Melissa Mims.
My name is Afulani Layla McCormick. I am Manene's daughter, Augusto's granddaughter, Gladys' granddaughter, Melanie and Kim's niece. I call out to all the names of black women who come before me: Priscilla Emoti, Priscilla Mason, Rashandra Mason, Mary Mason, Rita Rivera, Iris Gomez, Yvette Rivera, Dr. Yvonne, Dr. Wendy Osofo, Jillian Williams, Jackie Hackett, Kibi Morris, and Christiana Cox.
Hello, my name is Anene Emodi Onwuka. I am the daughter of Waboga Emodi Onwuka. I am the granddaughter of Agebu Emodi Inegwe Onwuka. I am the niece of Ifeoma Emodi, Amaka Uchebo, and Florence Onwuka. I am the younger sister of Nkem Delim and Melody Emodi. I call out the names of women who are currently paving the road for my daughter, Afalena, and all the young black girls out there. Dr. Sarita Davis, Dr. Jacqueline Rouse, Dr. Leah Bascom, Dr. Shannon, Miss Benita Davis, Miss Ruby Manley, Kristen Long, Gabrielle Donaldson, Kiana Clark, Maya White, also known as Maya Black, Juliet Doku, Lashana Brown, Chiama Hall, Nathalie Fox, and Sakai Rollins. I thank you, and we all appreciate everything that you ladies are currently doing. Thank you. I'm glad that I had the opportunity to read Angela Davis's Women, Race, and Class. This book was really emotional for me in so many ways, from slavery, oppression, fighting for our rights, the suffrage movement, and just overall being black in America. Black women are extremely amazing and undeniably beautiful. During slavery, our ancestors worked side by side in the fields. Our women were sexual objects and were breeding slave children by the minute. Black women have never been able to wallow in their sorrow, in their weaknesses. They had to reach down in their souls and become strong and press through all the BS their body and mental had to endure. Black women have been able to use their strength to survive, and we still do that today. From the betrayal of the white suffragists to modern day, why are you so angry? Why are you so loud? Why are you so aggressive? With medical experimentation being done on black women, enslaved women, and their enslaved children, to the widespread practice of surgical sterilization. Black women have never had a chance to own their bodies or make decisions when it comes to their bodies. I can continue to talk about the ill BS that our ancestors have been through, but I'm going to take this opportunity to praise the women who've come before us and the women who are working today through political and social economic anguish, with battling for basic human rights and getting through racism and discrimination every day. Black women, just remember, you're not forgotten. You are courageous, loyal, faithful, and caring. You are the very model that the world should admire and honor. It is because of you that the future looks a little bit brighter. You are appreciated and loved. We honored you yesterday, we honor you today, and we will continue to honor you tomorrow.